Hello and welcome, guys. Today we are talking about a film called Split. So, Split. You may have seen it advertised as a sort of horror thriller. I don't know what it quite is. I'd probably say it's more of a thriller, mystery type, movie. It is a really, really, really good movie. Which is really hard for me to say, considering it's come from M.Night. I mean, he's done a good movie before. He's done The Sixth Sense, and it's quite impressive the fact that he's picked himself up from all these terrible movies he made and made a really good film. I mean, I'm not one to judge, well, I am one to judge, but I'm not one to say whether a movie is good or not, because I'll watch all movies if they are good or bad, including my previous video on I'm about to say M.Night Shyamalan's? No, he would do better than that. Then Resident Evil, the final chapter. Do not watch that. I'll just quickly say that in there. But there is going to be spoilers coming up ahead about this movie, so if you do not want to know anything about the movie, please turn off this video now, as I do not want to ruin movies. I do not like I do not like ruin movies for anyone. I'm a massive movie buff. This is one thing I've kept secret for a long while on my channel. I'm going to start talking about movies a lot more now, as well as playing games. Because I like, as much as I love my games, I've been a big gamer for a long time, but more than anything, I'm a movie buff and a TV show buff. I love watching, I love watching a screen, and I'm watching art take form, really. So we're talking about Split, which is a really, really good movie, and it's really good to say that, especially, I just want to say well done first to M.Night Shyamalan, for, he's done such an amazing job on this film. We had some really good leading roles in it. It was impressive from start to finish, I've got to admit. I mean, there was a few down, parts where I thought it could have worked on it a bit better, but I'm not a director myself. I wish I was, to be honest with you. I do love the movie industry, and I think it's an amazing industry. But we're going to be talking about what was so good about a film. Why has he done so crap before? And we're going to be digging into the film and talking about it a lot more. So the film starts off with some young girls. They're in a shopping centre or a shop, and they're talking. A couple of girls talking to their dad about they're inviting this girl along because she's really weird, but she doesn't want to get her social aspects about how she doesn't want. She's saying she's a bitch, but she's not that much of a bitch not to invite this lonely girl along because she doesn't want to be seen as a bitch. But basically that's the rundown. Really, sort of, you think it's going to start off slow, it's going to have a big wind up into it, but straight after, I'd probably say within the 5-minute mark, you see their dad get. I'm not sure if he gets just knocked out. Well, you find out he gets knocked out. You don't actually find out if he's physically hurt or whatever. You just hear a bang on the back of the boot, because you see him sort of turn around and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Who are you?" And he gets smashed into the back of the boot, and the guy, I can't remember his name. He was in Shameless. He was Professor Xavier. So we're going to call him Professor Xavier from the X-Men series or films. Should we call them the series films? And he's basically sitting in the front of the car. And he's just sitting there. He's currently this character called Dennis, and we'll get into Dennis in a few moments. And he's just sitting there, and the young girl, the lead actor, is standing there. She's looking at him. She's shaking. And the other two girls haven't noticed that that there's a different guy, not their dad, in it, until one of them does. It takes quite a long time to realise it's not her dad who's entered the car, which is quite amazing. I mean, probably it's one thing I'd say, if anything you should change, was that, the shock factor. The way the suspense was built up for that, it was quite good. For something I think could have been improved. I think you might have proved me wrong, to be fair. It was quite suspenseful, and it brought a really eerie atmosphere into the film when you watched it, and you kind of felt uncomfortable. It's like when someone sits next to you on a bus, someone you don't know, and you don't want them to sit next to you, and they're just sitting there, and you just felt uncomfortable. So he's sitting there, and the girl turns around and goes, "Who are you? I think you found the wrong car, sir. You might have seen that part in the trailer." And the other young girl is seeing this guy prepare. He's putting a mask on, and then suddenly he sprays one of the girls in the face, holds it over holds a cloth over her face. I've forgotten what they call the chemical, but it's knockout gas. It does the same to the other girl as well. But he doesn't get her. He doesn't get the other young girl, the lead actress, and he leaves her. And then she's sort of an awkward stance happening there, where she's sort of looking at him, he's looking at her, and she's sort of slowly moving her hand towards this door to try and get out the door. But as soon as the door sort of clicks, you hear the, I don't know what you call it, the signal indicator say that the door has been going ding 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 going off, and that's when he decides to actually spray her as well, because it could ruin his plan. So yeah, that's the intro to it. So I'm gonna say well done for the intro. It was really, the suspense on it was amazing. It was really enjoyable. I really loved it. I thought it was quite fun, and it was really amazing. So we're going to the next part of the scene, the next part of the movie. There's sort of, I mean, the weirdest part of the movie is it jumps backwards and forwards with the young girl. I think her name is Casey in it. Her name is Casey or Kelsey or something like that. And it goes to her as a younger self, having dinner with her dad and her uncle, and they're talking about sort of stuff about animals and shit, about hunting, and at first it has no relevance to the story at all. You don't feel like it has any relevance at all, but the clever thing is it does, and it comes back sort of in the next part. You understand sort of what's going on there, and it's sort of weird. So then coming away from then talking about hunting when she was younger, it goes back to sort of goes back to, I think he goes and sees his therapist, who's getting emails saying that from his other self, saying that they need urgent help, and from a psychiatrist or therapist, whatever she is, saying urgent help needed, and he's trying to explain that that he didn't send the email when he did. The funny thing is he's got 24. You find out he's got 24 personalities inside of him, so there's quite a few different ones, and so after sort of watching that bit, there's no real relevance. She's starting to guess that the guy who she's speaking to is not the guy he's being, if you know what I mean. He's not the same. He's not being the same person. He's a different person, but that person inside of him is pretending to be that person, if that makes any sense. So then it goes back to the girls who are trapped, and they're trying to wonder what's going on, and the guy called Dennis, he's the one who's mainly taking over him. He grabs one of the girls, he says, "You'll be first," to her, and while the weird girl who I don't like, the main actress, goes, "Well, pee yourself, because I think it's going to be, because I think she's going to get raped there or something like that," and she pees herself. So the guy chucks her back in the room after she gets grabbing her out, and she's got piss down her, and he realizes that he wasn't actually going to rape her, he was just going to dance with her. But then you then later on find out that it's not just dancing. He likes to see young girls dance naked, which is really, really weird. You find that later on in the film. So I'm not going to go through every single part of the film, because it's going to be too much of a long video to do. So we're going to sort of just jump to bits. So later on in the film, you find out that he is actually keeping them there for food. Okay, he's keeping them there for food, and he is eating them because he's becoming something else. He becomes something else before he starts eating them. Which two of them do die. The other two, you can guess which two die. They get eaten because he's becoming something called the Beast, which is all the personalities collected together, and he calls them the Horde. So yeah, the other girls get eaten. There's plenty of times they try to escape in the movie. You can feel the suspense. You feel M.Night Shyamalan really builds suspense in every part of the film. You do feel it's a really good thriller to watch. I'm going to call it a thriller. It's not a horror film. I'm going to call it a thriller. It's got, I wouldn't say it's got sort of supernatural elements to it. It does feel like that, but it's saying there's not supernatural in it, because it's saying that you can be anything you think you can if you believe it enough. Is basically the moral of the story, from what I guess. So we're talking, we're talking about this, well, what's going on in here, and so yeah, he eats two of the girls, but near the end of the film, he kills the psychiatrist who comes to visit him because he finds out that the beast is there. He finds out about the beast, and the beast kills him because she's starting to lose belief in it. And he's eating people who aren't pure. Okay, he thinks that people who haven't suffered pain in their life are not pure. So the other girls, because he said they've been wrapped around for rapidly, ate them. When he goes to eat the other young girl who's in a cage, she's got a shotgun because one of the guys told him there's a shotgun and where the shells were. Turns out that he's been he's the main person he was born as, was that personality, and he tells them that there's a shotgun and some shells there, please kill him. But then but as quick as she goes to go grab them, the other personality start coming back, and Cage, he's coming out, he's crawling from the ceiling, smashing out the lights and stuff. And when he's smashing out the lights, he ends up in front of her. She shoots him twice, and he says, I'm not human," or any, saying he's something more than human. And so he's sort of just standing there, and before he gets her, he's ripping out these bars trying to get into the cage. But he notices that when her top, which has been getting ripped throughout the movie, gets ripped. When he realizes when it comes off that she's got all scars. Now this is where the part where the hunting bit comes in, because it keeps cutting back. It turns out that she was abused by her uncle while they were camping in the woods, and then her uncle took over ownership of her as a parental, I don't know what you call it. He took over her as a legal guardian. That's it. When he took over as legal guardian, it just gave him more excuse to abuse her, and he realizes that she's suffered pain. And he starts screaming like, "You're pure, you're pure." And that's really where the movie ends. She gets found out by one of the zookeepers, because they found out the whole time they were inside a zoo, which was really weird. So yeah, really at the end of the movie, the movie is a really good part if you like one of M.Night Shyamalan's other films. So we're going to get into this part now. This is the last part of the video, guys. I promise you. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. So at the end of the film, we have it goes into a cafe, and in this cafe you see a news report about them talking about what's going on and how they called the guy a horde. The split personality guy a horde, and they say it's still at large. And then you see these two people talking, and they go, "Do you know they called him? They called him Horde. Sounds like another weird news report about that guy they put away. He had a really weird name too." And then you see Bruce Willis turn around and go, "Mr. Glass," and that confirms that it's connected to the Unbreakable. That's the Untouchables. Then the Unbreakable is also, I'd probably say, a good film by M. Night Shyamalan. I would say it's an okay film. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but it's a good film. It's not Resident Evil, the final fucking chapter film. It's a decent enough film to watch, and I actually recently rewatched the film because of watching because of Split, and I realised actually maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. I did kind of enjoy watching the film. It's not something I'll watch again, I'll be honest with you, but he's now confirmed there's going to be an Unbreakable 2. So yeah, really, we could see the return of. There's been enough shitty films out there. He's done a really good job of Split. Unfortunately, I have spoiled it. If you didn't listen, I did say there's these spoilers coming up. I did explain most of the movie. The reason I did that is so you could sort of see how well he does twists in this film, and how well he directed it. Everything about it was good, and I highly recommend you go out and you watch this film. So I hope you enjoyed the gameplay of me playing Battlefield. So I was actually playing it as we were talking. I never ever do pre-recording, so I never talk over old gameplay. I always play when I'm talking. So that's probably why I sometimes struggle, and I sometimes stutter what I'm talking, because I'm trying to think about what how to play and what I saw in the game. I don't go by a script or anything. So talking about that was it was a really good film, and I highly recommend you go out and watch Split. Definitely go out there and watch it. And I really hope that M. Night Shyamalan does not fuck it up. This is his second chance to come back. Don't fuck this up. Do not fuck this up. So yeah, thank you much guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.